Aslan Usoyan was a real king of the criminal world. He is known under different nicknames, for example, Grandfather, Grandfather Khasan, etc. Criminal Authority was born in the city of Tbilisi in 1937. His considerable influence spread not only in the countries of the former USSR, but also far beyond its borders. Aslan was the leader of several powerful Caucasian groups. He crowned many famous thieves in the law. Everywhere his opinion was worth its weight in gold. But he had many opponents, as he had a negative attitude to thieves who lived according to the concepts. He honored new views. He also often acted as a kind of judge in various disputes between criminals. Usoyan's clan was able to withstand numerous wars among criminals. In 2010, Grandfather Khasan was even seriously wounded. Criminal career. Aslan's parents were Kurdish Yazidis. From a very young age, the guy became a follower of criminal romance. At the age of 19, he resisted the police. It was for this that he was first convicted for a year and a half. Later, he was released, as the case was reclassified. Aslan received his next sentence for robbery and got 5 years, but was able to get out on parole. While at liberty in Georgia, for some time he earned money through currency transactions and often committed pocket thefts. He was also close to Ilo Devdariani, a thief in law. Ilo was one of the first to make the so-called Chekovics, underground entrepreneurs, pay regularly. Usoyan himself became a thief in law in 1963. According to law enforcement agencies, he received this title for money. In 1966, Usoyan received another term. 3 years in prison for speculation, but in 1968 was already released. The title of a lawman, by the way, as some data say, he received thanks to the recommendation of 2 thieves named Merach Fartovoy and David Shaumiansky. It happened just during his term of imprisonment. It is quite possible that the coronation took place again, but now it was done according to all the rules and concepts. After his release, Aslan was engaged in various illegal deals and fraud. People belonging to his clan demanded money from underground businessmen, including speculators, swindlers, shopkeepers. Directors of large markets, vegetable bases, small outlets and stores were also subjected to tribute. Usoyan came under much more serious articles in 1984. He received a 15-year sentence for forging documents, engaging in illegal entrepreneurship, and storing drugs. Initially, he served his sentence in White Swan, ITK6. There, the administration forced him to abandon the traditions of the thieves' world and cooperate with them. After that, he was transferred to the penal colony located in Omsk. Slavic authorities already ruled here. At Aslan's request, he was transferred to the Middle Urals. Serving his time in ITK-17, dead Khasan was able to subjugate almost the entire Urals prison world. Aslan cooperated with many operatives, and even when they stopped cooperating with him, he continued to work with the KGB. He carried out various assignments, such as stopping riots, establishing discipline, etc. In return, he was allowed to appoint proxies in other colonies. While serving his sentence, Aslan crowned several thieves, including Timur Tbilisi, his nephew. At that time, in 1989, various groups consisting of young people, for whom thieves' notions are an empty sound, began to appear. To confront them, Timur created his own group with headquarters in the restaurant Cosmos in Sverdlovsk. It feuded with the powerful Uralmash OPS. Aslan Usoyan's representatives began to appear in many other cities. Starting in the 1990s, a brutal redistribution of influence began in these places, which was accompanied by murders of everyone who had anything to do with the criminals, including their families. Dead Khasan's clan attracted youth groups and many others, shopkeepers, cooperators, etc. to its side. The unwanted were framed and liquidated, while others were simply handed over to the police. In 1991, Aslan Usoyan contributed to the coronation of Lesha Sverdlovsky. It happened right in the visiting room of the colony. After his release, Usoyan quarreled with a major authority, Igor Tarlanov. Later, he was mostly in the North Caucasus and the capital. Dead Khasan had the greatest influence in the North Caucasus. During the Georgian-Abkhazian conflict, Aslan Usoyan financially helped the Abkhazians. Because of this, he is considered the main culprit behind the disappearance of Givi Rezani, who was helping Georgians. Also, if we believe some sources from foreign press, Usoyan supplied weapons to the Kurds. In Moscow, the protege of dead Khasan was a thief-in-law, Rafael Bagdasaryan. In Ukraine, Valery Kukilava, who was crowned by Khasan. At the same time, Aslan retained a strong influence in the Urals, where there was a war between different groups. In 1994, the thief-in-law moved to the northern capital. Aslan Usoyan often vacationed in casinos. He was supported by many thieves. He tried to influence the northwestern criminal world and become its head. This year, Aslan had a conflict with the authority Ilya Simonia. On the territory of Sochi, he had a meeting with him, where Vasily Mordakov, a well-known thief-in-law, became the judge. As a result of this meeting, Ilya became a traitor, and soon many assassination attempts were organized against him. In 1995, Aslan gathered about 350 thieves in law and authority figures at the grave of his friend. At that time, the police detained many criminal authorities, among whom was Khasan. Also, in that year, he turned into one of the most influential criminal authorities within the countries of the former USSR. He held the thieves' coffers. Usoyan's clan was based on Armenian, Azerbaijani thieves-in-law, Slavs, representatives of Kurdish and Tbilisi thieves. 1996 was marked by the conflict of Shakro Jung, dead Khasan against the Mamedov brothers. Around the mid-90s, Khasan's influence spread even further and covered the North Caucasus, St. Petersburg, Moscow, Ukraine, Yekaterinburg, some cities in the Baltics, Israel and Western Europe. The bandits' supporters owned a huge number of different establishments, including banks, casinos, hotels, etc. Aslan had many well-known close acquaintances. Even singer Efrem Amiramov was among them. In the second half of the 90s, Aslan Usoyan had a serious conflict with the Oganov brothers, thieves-in-law. As a result of this war, more than 150 people were killed. In general, dead Khasan's clan fought with many authorities, some of whom he himself elevated to the rank of thieves in the law. Usoyan even had his own army. One of them is the Lesnyakov gang. Its members were involved in contract killings, the elimination of Hassan's enemies, etc. Dead Khasan also fought with the famous thief-in-law Taro, Tariel Oniani, also a very influential lawman. One of the most recent authorities elevated to the rank of thieves-in-law are Vasya Moldavan and Kamchi Kolbaev. In 2010, an attempt was made on Aslan Usoyan's life. It took place in Moscow. Grandfather Khasan was shot in the stomach and his guard was shot in the chest and shoulder. The shots were fired from a Kalashnikov assault rifle. He survived and was briefly sidelined afterward. When he fully recovered, he traveled only in an armored vehicle and surrounded by Armenian and Kurdish fighters. In 2013, Val Aslan Usoyan was shot dead with an assault rifle. Some sources say he died immediately, others say only in intensive care. The killer shot from the attic or stairwell. Vadim Yakovenko, head of the main investigative directorate of the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, and Oleg Baranov, who was then head of the Moscow police, were personally present at the scene of the murder. Representatives of the criminal world wanted to hold a burial at the Vagankovsky cemetery, not far from the grave of the thief-in-law Yaponchik. But Aslan Usoyan's family insisted that he be buried in Tbilisi, next to the graves of his brother and mother. However, it was not possible to transport the body, and in the end, grandfather Khasan was buried in Khovansky cemetery. Usoyan left behind a large family, and some of its members are also involved in crime.